dear video friends. I made a video in German about my cultural plants, and this one will be the same in English, and I gave it some more thought. The culture would be language based, so similar to the Esperanto culture in that regard. And it would be about studying and protecting and further developing languages. And developing is like making new words for things and concepts where there are no words so far, and where more and more English words are used. Because it is getting worrisome if maybe your mother tongue is English and you don't see it, but it is like the other languages are becoming English dialects. I talked with somebody about Japanese, and where he said we had the same reason for not learning Japanese, because it is so full of English words that it doesn't seem like a language on its own anymore. So it's boring. Just a version of English. I know there are more Japanese words in Japanese than English, but if you are learning an exotic language, you don't want to have English words all over. It is also about reviving languages, and language language revivers, they don't have a common culture. They don't even have that much contact with people from other projects. Maybe for the big ones, maybe if you have the whole village that is learning your language, then you may have contact with others who do the same. But projects where there is only one or two or just a few people, they often have no contact to others who are the same. And this I can't make a culture for everyone, but mine would be for more than one language. and I would have as a, I don't know how to call this, a base, a heritage, something like this would be the oldest languages, the web proto languages, reconstructed ones, or classical languages too, and they would be honored in a way. So for many people, Proto-Indo-European would be such a language, because they nowadays speak well, a modern descendant of it. And for others it may be something else, another reconstruction, like Proto-Finno-Ugric, or what is called in English, I don't know. Or so that can vary. So I also would base much of the culture on Indo-European, but not as a complete revival of the culture of ancient times. And, people should also learn more about the classical languages like Latin, Greek, or Sanskrit. I'm very glad about Luke Ranieri, who is teaching Latin and Greek, and for people who want to speak them. And he does a lot for culture in general, I told him. So what he does, it would be, well, something like the thing I'm planning. I don't know if I would be able to call him a member if he started before me. I can ask for the form of the language. I have a preference. I really like, that's a nail, the languages like they were in the 18th century. Um, I had to read a lot in it, and at that time they took language very serious, and it is also the especially the second half. They said things often very straightforward, but still in a more in a more elegant way than we do. They used uh, less verbs. They did say do much more often. And if you do something with something else, in modern languages, in the modern state of a language, you often use a different, well, I don't know what to call it, first verb, like if you have two. In English, it is still often do. In German, you like you may say now you say maybe eine Arbeit vollbringen, and it's not this. That's not the same, but then they would have said eine Arbeit tun. So it was less complicated in this regard. Now and it's almost the same. No worries. I even read about this after I saw it. So I know it's not only me who thinks this. And every language, I think so. Every language needs at least one village where it is exclusively or almost exclusively spoken. In this regard, I like the Urania movement a lot, because they have this one village and everyone has to speak Afrikaans, and they protect their culture, and they do as much as they can alone, and this way they can't be bothered that much. They even have a flag. And things like this do a lot for language. I also think that it would be relatively easy for the Esperantists to make their own village. Maybe they would have to start with a big house and have a couple of people move in. So let's say 10. so that they have an active community, a community in place, and they could build from that on. I may make a separate video on this, because well, I'm looking for people who want to do this. It is, any language could make use of this, but with Esperanto it would be comparably easy, because Esperanto, and you don't see my hands, I make things like this, and they have a culture, they have a common culture, and nobody else would have a reason to move in. That's the same with Urania. It's not that they say you can't come, but if you're not an Afrikaner, well, you have to, well, the culture must be important for you, but well, it doesn't matter, because if you don't have this, you don't want to live there. And for Esperanto, you don't even have to be of the same people. If you learned Esperanto, you will know about the Esperanto culture, and you many would have had the same learning materials and already know many people who speak Esperanto. So, well, I was going to say, they could buy a bigger house lately, or if one is nearby, just, well, buy a second house in the same place, and thus it would grow. Or maybe they could move all together. Maybe if it's big enough, they could buy a village. Certainly that would not be the case very quickly, very soon. But I want to say what could come from it. And the other thing, well, language projects, they should support each other. All right, I mean, I think I have nothing more to say now. So, goodbye, and well, maybe I will make one about just Esperanto next time. All right.